on the political performance of all the leaders in this community in Sault Ste. Marie in 2019. The opinions are only ours and do not represent Superior Media, Soo Online, and on TV. We'll be back right after these messages. Welcome back to On Point for Monday, December 2nd. We apologize for that delay going to commercial there, and welcome back to the show. This is going to be a very good show. My political pundits, Cara Flanagan and Winona Hutchison, are live in studio. I'm just going to open the show with a comment on Mayor Christian Provenzano for 2019. The last year in 2019 has been nothing short of spectacular for our mayor, future Sault Ste. Marie, tourism, Sault Ste. Marie, EDC. You've seen all the major players on this show. The mayor has a staff that has been second to none every time they've hit it on the money. And that's important when you're analyzing the performance of a community leader. Their staff has returned calls and emails for me, and I'm speaking because it's for me, and I'm speaking from my opinion. These are only a few reasons why Christian Provenzano was at the top of his game as mayor in 2019. And now for reaction, I bring in Winona Hutchison. Well, Winona, what do you think? Was I on the money with analyzing the mayor in his performance?
Overall, yes, I'd say he does have a passing grade for sure. But there's still quite a few things I believe that needs to still be addressed in our city. We have a beautiful waterfront. We are definitely moving forward on the beautification of Sault Ste. Marie and things like that. But there's a lot of things that still need to be addressed within our community, and that's the rest of the Soo. We still have streets in Ward 2 that's like driving down moguls. We still have a number of people who are finding it more and more unlivable in terms of the cost of living in Sault Ste. Marie. And the more that we keep beautifying and increasing our taxes, the more we make it unlivable to be here.
Kara, what do you think? Weigh in on this one.
Well, I have to say that I'm very impressed with a lot of the things that are happening in our community. There's a lot of revitalization. The Downtown Association has done a fabulous job. Future SSM is a wonderful gauge to what the community wants our community to be, and I'm excited about that. A couple of things that I would really like to see happen with our City Council is increased public engagement and raising awareness. So, like, for example, we've got council meetings and stuff like that, and the agendas and stuff come out on Friday, so you only have the weekend, which if people are busy, they don't make a point to take a look at the agenda so they can have comments or get comments back to the councillors before the meeting is on Monday. So, and there'd also be something like, just for the example, the Norgoma, to have availability of having alerts to important decisions or topics that are coming up that you may be of your interest. So it'd be nice to have a heads up for those sorts of things going forward.
Right. I just want to make a comment on what Winona said about the streets. This isn't going to be solved during the tenure of Christian Provenzano. We've had a problem with streets and paving and fixing them for 25 years. There's waiting lists, so this problem goes back a lot longer than 2014 in terms of streets in this community.
But here's the thing, as a community leader, we still need to keep in mind what our current residents need as well. It's not, you need to be forward thinking, yes, but you still need to take care of your current issues as well. So we're looking at this new development downtown by City Hall for the parade, a parade square type thing, and which is a wonderful idea, but here's this, does it have to actually happen now? Can we not take care of some more important infrastructure? 1 year of not doing something is okay if we can take care of what we have now.
But I think this mayor and council have been building within the murals, fixing up Bay Street. You know, they've done an incredible amount of work in the last year. The question is, does that public square need to happen now? Absolutely.
But here's the thing, it's great that you're creating beauty, but if all you're doing is fixing the surface and you're not dealing with the underlying issues of what's happening in your community, then it doesn't matter how pretty it looks, it'll still never quite be where you want it to be.
Kara, what do you think? Should there be other focus at this point in time?
Well, you're talking to me, so of course, and when we're talking about roads and infrastructure and stuff like that, I mean, I'm really excited that the city has hired a climate change coordinator, because climate change is advancing a lot faster than we and even the scientists anticipated, and actually we're very alarmed. So when you're talking about roads and expansion of roads, actually I think we should be contracting roads and investing more in mass transit so that we have fewer roads to take care of that are going to be compromised or at risk from climate change that's happening. Look at how high the river is and all the Great Lakes are, and if you're down on the waterfront and you see how our infrastructure is actually being affected by the high water levels, and that's expected to go on until next year, that really points to the risk of our built infrastructure from climate change and the rising water. So we can't afford to replace all of our infrastructure, so we have to ensure that it's maintained the best that it can be, and we also have to decrease the amount of infrastructure that we have and abate or adapt to climate change faster than we're doing right now. So,
but infrastructure, as I said to Winona, has been a problem of 25 plus years. Look how long they've taken with McNabb and Great Northern Road. That street is still not open. So we've had infrastructure problems a lot longer than the tenure of Christian Provenzano in this community.
But that's the thing, Andy. You're saying that we've had these infrastructure infrastructure problems for longer than, Mr. Provenzano's tenure. It should be an issue for any community leader to ensure that they still have that forward vision, absolutely, but they still need to take care of the stuff that hasn't been done prior. When they're elected, they're actually agreeing to take on these issues and fix it. That's why people are electing them. So it's a balancing act, absolutely. But we still need to create some security for our current residents and any new ones that are coming in to live in Sault Ste. Marie, which is beautiful. But we need to make sure that it's livable. Not just in infrastructure, but in social issues. And, we have an epidemic here. Like, let's look at that. Great, we're making it pretty. We're making it a place to want to come. Absolutely. But it's not going to be a place to want to come if you're not fixing the other stuff too.
But there's a priority, Winona, and Kara, you can weigh in on this too. It's a consensus. The mayor and council have to work together to consent the priority of 50 items or however many. You just can't please everybody all of the time.
Well, I don't think anybody's expecting to be pleased all the time, honestly. But I think we want to know that this is actually being heard. And maybe it's the communication issue that, is just not happening. I'd like to see more communication, more transparency from council and from Mr. Provenzano's office, as well as the city in general. Like, I don't think people are feeling that they're being heard and that their needs are being met. And that needs to be addressed. Because you're never going to have that confidence in your government or in your city council if you're feeling like you're not being heard.
Give me some examples of where we aren't being heard, because I'm being heard when I contact people. I'm being heard. Where are the citizens of Sault Ste. Marie not being heard?
Well, that's the thing. There's a number of issues. Like, people are still talking about the roads. People are still talking about our taxes. There's talking about the snow removal. There's always these issues. There will always be issues. And the more our taxes are going up, and we're going to be having another increase, but they're not feeling that they're getting the benefit of the value of their dollar that's being spent. And I think that's what's happening, in my opinion, is that people don't feel like they're getting the value of the taxes that are being spent.
Kara, weigh in on this. We have a shrink tax base. We can't create miracles when we don't have 120,000 people. We have below 75 or the 70,000 mark in this community. How can council use smoke and mirrors to create something that's not there with the tax base?
Yeah, I don't want smoke and mirrors, actually, as a citizen. And one of the fabulous things about municipal government is it's so accessible to citizens, which is fabulous. I think when you're talking about infinite growth on a finite planet, that's unreasonable. So I think if we altered the way we viewed our community as not having to grow, which may happen anyway because of climate disruptions and migrants, but we want to look at our city at this point as being right-sized. And so if you look at, we are the right size now, and what are the assets that we have currently, and what do we need, and then work with what we do already have. One of the disadvantages of municipalities is they have so many limited ways of generating revenue, and now that's something that the provincial government may need to consider, because the real services that we enjoy and experience as citizens come from our municipalities. So in order to keep them and expand them or modify them, we need to have the revenue nimbleness in order to generate the revenues that we need for the services that we want and where we want to go as a community.
Okay, ladies, stay right there. I've got to take some commercial breaks, and we'll be right back with On Point. Don't go anywhere.
Yeah. Okay.
established a $100 million affordability fund to help Ontarians who don't qualify for low-income conservation programs ease the burden of their electricity bill. Whether you rent or own your home, as long as you pay your electric bill, you could qualify. There are 3 levels of support available. The first is a home energy kit with upgrades like smart power bars and LED light bulbs. The second includes Energy Star appliances that help keep things cool during the hot summer months. The third is for electrically heated homes so that your power bills don't break the bank during those long Canadian winters. Plus, all upgrades, including installation, are completely free of charge. Visit affordabilityfund.org or call 1-855-494-FUND to find out if you qualify.
Welcome back to a really special edition of ONNPoint. We're live on ONTV, we're live on Facebook, and I'm here with my 2 superstar political female pundits, Cara Flanagan and Winona Hutchison, and we were just talking about the mayor in 2019. We want to evaluate our community leaders, our representatives for the year of 2019. Ladies, let's talk about council briefly, and then we'll move on. To my opinion on this is Lisa Vizeau-Allen in Ward 2 has clearly been the top performing councillor. They've all been good, but Lisa, to me, has risen above the fray. So what do you think, Winona? How do you see the performance of City Council in the last 12 months?
Agreed. You know, Ms. Vizeau-Allen definitely needs to be mentioned as one of the leaders in our community, but I think Luc Dufour also should have some say because some spotlight put on him, because he has put forward, I have to say, both councillors for Ward 2 have been very impressive to me in terms of what they're doing, what they're proposing, and they're proposing on sustainability for the Sioux. They're fixing issues that need to be dealt with both economically as well as socially. So I'm very pleased 100% with both of their performances.
Cara, weigh in on this council. What are you thinking for 2019?
Well, Winona and I were talking about this during the break, and I'm fortunate enough to live in Ward 2. So, she pointed out to me that other wards don't have that kind of accessibility and enthusiasm that both the councillors in Ward 2 have brought to the table. And I think there's no reason why we can't expect that from all the other councillors. And we were talking also during the break of how accessible municipal government was, and that was kind of called into question, but some wards don't have the same type of access or communication with their councillors. And given today's means of communications and polling and ways of inputting on things, I think the city needs to consider more diverse ways of public information and public input and transparency of the processes at City Hall, and that's all doable. And I think that it would just bring us all more connected to our community, because we are a tight group, and that's a great thing.
Well, I think we've had a problem of accessibility of councillors for some time again, and I don't see that problem, but I see where you're going. Not all councillors communicate at the same level, but I want to go back to another couple of reasons why Lisa Vizeau-Allen is the top performer. She's on the police board along with the mayor. They brought down the break-ins, and the police chief was hired. All these are good things that this city has become safer in the last year than it was in the late 2018. Ladies, Cara, what do you think this time? Do you agree or not agree?
I'm not very versed on policing or anything like that. I do know that under the social determinants of health, where you meet the needs of people, they're healthier and have their are out of poverty. So when you have what you need, you don't have to commit property crimes in order to get what you need, whether it's an addiction, whether it's food, those sorts of things. So I'm all for addressing the root causes of poverty and poor health, and just giving and making sure that everyone has what they need. So then that will, and has been shown to decrease rates of crime. So I think coming from a health perspective, that's kind of where I would like to go.
Let's move on for the sake of time here and talk about Ross Romano, our MPP. Let me be clear, and these are our opinions. I made that clear from the start. Ross Romano has been disappointing in his performance. Why? Because he's not working together with the mayor and the MP, and this city is suffering, in my opinion. Let's start there, ladies. Winona, do you agree, or your thoughts?
Well, you know, I have to say that overall, I still think he's doing a great job. Is there areas where we could do better? Absolutely. Nobody is infallible. I personally have no problem gaining access. So, you know, I hear other people say that they have issues, so I understand that. I hear it, and I can, you know, appreciate how they're feeling and things like that. But I personally think they're doing a good job. It's difficult, absolutely, in our city, because we have a number of issues that are still left outstanding. And yes, I would like to see them come more forward on some of those. But overall, I can see both sides of it, so yeah.
Well, Kara, weigh in on this before I make a comment on that. You know that better than anybody else that Ross Romano was elected. His job as MPP is to talk to everybody. He's not doing that, correct?
Well, I ran against Ross in the by-election that he won, and I know he has a long commitment to the community, having been a member of council. So he's got an experience on the municipal government level. So I think in running in provincial politics, and a lot of people aren't aware of this, that although Ross, part of his campaign slogan was he wants to fight for the Sioux, he will work for us, he will represent us, that's what he wanted to do. And that's the mantra. However, the political party system doesn't work that way. So as much as he may want to have represented us, I don't know if he knew this when he got involved in provincial politics, but whereas as a municipal councillor, you can represent your constituents in your ward. But at the provincial level, when you're in a party that is a whipped vote, means that regardless of what the City of Sault Ste. Marie wants and tells Ross that we want, as a whipped party member, he has to do what he's told, because the party tells everyone how to vote. So that actually diminishes democracy. And the other two parties are also whipped as well. There's only one party that isn't. So you could probably guess which one that one is. But so whether or not he agreed with what the community wants or not, I don't believe he has any room to move there, and that may be part of the problem. And we can correct that by eliminating parties at that level, or requiring non-whipped votes. So they can represent their communities.
But the problem is worse than that, because he doesn't understand the fact that Christian Provenzano and Terry Sheehan understand politics better than Ross. So why, after 2.5 years, hasn't he begun to work with these people that know the business of leading and politics better than Ross does? Winona, what's the story there?
First of all, where are you getting some of your information, Andy? I like you and all, but come on.
No,
that was a pretty blanket statement.
No, but he's not. He's not working together. And also, I wanted to mention that he is missing key votes regarding Northern Ontario in the House. I know this for a fact, 100%. Why isn't Ross there on these key votes for Northern Ontario?
We don't know that he's not. What people don't understand is that there is a robust discussion that happens that's not in front of a camera and that's not done on the floor. The parties still have robust conversations amongst their representatives. It's not like the party leader just says, you're going to do this, so that's it, that's all. There is still conversations happening, and I have to believe, as my elected representative, and it wouldn't matter if it was anybody who was elected, I have to trust that that person that we put our faith in is having those conversations. We may not necessarily see it on the floor, we may not necessarily see it in front of a camera, but we have to have that. You have to have some level of faith in your elected representatives, and I do know that he does have some very robust conversations.
Well, Winona, you and I could disagree, but I've got sources at the highest level that are telling me there are recent things where Northern Ontario, Ross wasn't in the House. But we need to move on. Just one other quick example from the provincial end of it. Last year, the 1.4 million was cut for the funding. Why didn't Ross fight harder to save that funding for future Sault Ste. Marie?
Well, how do we know he hasn't? Again, it's part of those robust conversations that happen behind the scenes. You know, right. It is an unfortunate reality that there had to be cuts. So here's my question to you. We hold our elected representatives, we're constantly asking them to be accountable for certain decisions, but are we having that same accountability to those services who have use of our money? If we're giving money from the government to a service to provide a service, are we holding them to the same level of accountability?
Right.
In terms of responsibility, a fiscal management responsibility. Look what's happened already. You know, they're saying that there was cuts, and then one of those services comes out with a $4 billion profit.
I gotta end it there, ladies. The show's over. What a time we had. Thank you so much for coming in.
Thanks, Andy.
We had a blast. We'll be back to wrap up the show right after these messages.
From everyone here at East Street Pizza Company, happy holidays.
Welcome back to ONNPoint. Well, we hope you enjoyed that one. That was a great, robust discussion. Cara Flanagan, Winona Hutchison, thank you so much. Jessica Tett from the PUC is here tomorrow. We'll see you tomorrow. Take care. Andy Martins for ONNPoint.